In the heart of a wide green land, where the forest stretched as far as the eyes could see, there was a village filled with hard-working people. The men farmed the land. The women sold food in the market. The children carried water and played in the dust. And above them all, one man stood taller than the rest. His name was Okoro. Okoro was not just any man. He was the best hunter the village had ever seen. His bow was strong, his arrows were sharp, and his eyes were like the eyes of a hawk. When Okoro entered the forest, animals trembled. When he pulled his bow, antelope slept too late. Every morning, before the sun rose, Okoro would take his bow, his arrows, and his 2 hunting dogs and walk into the forest. His wives would watch him leave, their hearts full of pride. "Go well, our husband. May the forest bring you blessings," they would say. And every evening, before the moon climbed into the sky, Okoro returned with meat. Sometimes it was grass cutter. Sometimes it was bush pig. Sometimes it was an antelope so large that even 3 men could not carry it easily. The villagers praised him. They clapped their hands and shouted his name. Okoro, the mighty hunter. Okoro, the lion of the forest. The children ran after him, singing, "Okoro, Okoro, bring us meat. Okoro, Okoro, never meets defeat." Okoro's chest swelled with pride. He walked tall, his head high, his steps strong. But inside his heart, Okoro was never satisfied. No matter how much he had, he always wanted more. His wives cooked food until the pot overflowed, but he wanted more. His barns were full of yam, but he wanted more. His goats and chickens filled his compound, but he wanted more. Greed sat in his heart like a shadow that never left. One day, Okoro followed the tracks of a fat antelope. The animal leapt fast, its hooves beating the ground like talking drums. Okoro's dogs barked and ran. He chased it deeper and deeper into the forest. The sun was hot. The ground was rough. Sweat ran down Okoro's face. Still, he pressed forward. At last, the antelope disappeared into thick bush, too fast for his dogs. Okoro leaned on his spear, his chest rising and falling. He wiped his face and muttered, "Today, you escaped, but tomorrow you will be mine." Just as he turned to leave, he heard it. Tom-tom. Tom-tom. Okoro froze. "What is that sound?" he whispered. Again it came, louder this time. Tom-tom. Tom-tom. "Do not be greedy, or you will bleed." Okoro's eyes grew wide. His ears strained. A drum. Talking. He looked around. There was no drummer, no dancer, no festival. Only tall Iroko trees, the chirping of birds, and the rustling of leaves. Still the sound continued. Tom-tom. Tom-tom. "Do not be greedy, or you will bleed." Okoro followed the sound. His feet crushed dry leaves. He pushed through thick bushes. He stepped over twisted roots. His eyes searched every corner. At last, he saw it. High in the branches of a great Iroko tree hung a shining drum. It glowed as if it was made of the sun itself. No hand touched it, yet it beat by itself. Okoro's mouth fell open. A drum, a talking drum, here in the forest. He laughed loudly, his voice echoing through the trees. "Huh! What a treasure! If I take this drum to the market, I will be rich. If I keep it for myself, I will be richer than the king himself." Ignoring the warning voice, Okoro climbed the tree. His hands scratched against the rough bark. His legs shook with effort. But his greedy eyes were fixed on the shining drum. At last, he reached it. With both hands, he plucked it from the branch and held it close. "My fortune has come," he shouted. And he climbed down quickly, hugging the drum to his chest. When Okoro returned to the village with the shining drum, his wives and neighbors rushed out to meet him. They stared at the strange object in his hands. His first wife frowned. "Husband, what is this thing you have brought from the forest? It shines like fire, yet it is only a drum." Okoro smiled proudly, his eyes glowing with excitement. "This is no ordinary drum. I found it hanging high in an iroko tree. It beat by itself, and it spoke. I believe it has power. Watch closely, and you will see." The people gathered in a circle inside his compound. Some sat on low stools, some stood, while children leaned forward, curious. Okoro placed the drum carefully in the center of the compound. For a moment, he only stared at it. His hands trembled with eagerness. At last, he lifted his hand and struck it gently. "Tom tom!" Everyone gasped. A small calabash of clean, cool water appeared in front of the drum. The children's eyes widened, and one of them whispered, "Did you see that?" The drum gave water. Okoro's wives covered their mouths in shock. Okoro laughed. "Huh. Uh-huh. You see, I told you it has power." Eagerly, he struck it again, a little harder this time. "Tom tom!" This time, a wooden tray of roasted yam and palm oil appeared, steaming hot. The smell filled the air. The villagers shouted in amazement. "Wonders! Wonders!" Okoro's pride swelled. His eyes shone brighter. He beat the drum once more, this time with both hands. "Tom tom! Tom tom!" At once, the ground of his compound was covered with food. Bowls of pepper soup, pots of jollof rice, baskets of plantain, fresh fish from the river, roasted meat glistening with oil. The compound overflowed with enough food to feed the whole village. The villagers clapped and danced, praising Okoro. Okoro the mighty. Okoro the favored one. Okoro's laughter filled the air. "Yes. Yes. I am the master of the drum. My days of struggle are over." But his curiosity was not satisfied yet. He wanted to see more. He struck the drum once again. "Tom tom! Tom tom!" This time, not food, but clothes appeared, bright wrappers of many colors, red caps fit for a chief, coral beads, leather sandals, and shiny bangles. The villagers shouted louder than before. "Okoro is blessed. Okoro is rich." Okoro threw his head back and laughed with pride. "I am greater than all men in this village. Richer than the king himself." From that day, he no longer hunted. He no longer tilled the soil. He no longer bent to greet elders or helped neighbors. Each morning, he struck the drum, and food, clothes, and riches filled his compound. But as the wealth grew, his heart grew harder. When poor men came to beg for food, he shouted at them, "Go away. Did I call you here? Work for yourselves." When hungry children came crying, he threw stones at them. "Leave my compound. Do not disturb me." The people shook their heads sadly. Okoro has changed. Greed has eaten his heart. That night, as Okoro lay asleep, he dreamed. In the dream, he saw the drum. Its eyes glowed red like fire. Its mouth opened wide. And it spoke, "Okoro. Okoro. Do not be greedy, or you will bleed." Okoro woke up sweating. He sat up, panting. Then he laughed loudly. "Huh. Just a dream. I control the drum. I am its master. Nothing can harm me." The next morning, the elders of the village came to his compound. They looked at him with worried eyes. "Okoro," they said gently, "wealth without sharing is dangerous. Remember, the forest gives, but the forest can also take away. The gods bless, but they can also curse. Share your riches with the people." But Okoro waved his hand proudly. "Old men, your words are dust. Leave me alone." And he struck the drum again. "Tom tom! Tom tom!" More riches poured out. The elders shook their heads and walked away sadly. As Okoro's riches grew, so did his pride. He wanted everyone to see his power. One moonlit night, he prepared a great feast. He killed cows and goats. He bought wine and palm oil. He called drummers and dancers. He sent word to every corner of the village, "Come to my compound. Come and see the power of my drum." When the day came, the people gathered. They filled the compound until there was no space left. The drummers beat their drums. The dancers shook their bodies. The smell of meat filled the air. Okoro stepped forward, wearing fine clothes and beads of coral. His head was high, his chest wide. "People of the village," he shouted proudly. "Tonight, you will see with your own eyes the power of my drum." The crowd clapped and shouted, "Okoro! Okoro! Show us the wonders." Okoro lifted his hand and struck the drum. Tom-tom. Food appeared in great heaps. The people gasped and rushed to eat. He struck it again. Tom-tom. Clothes appeared. The people cheered and danced. "Okoro! Okoro," they shouted. "The blessed one. The favored one." But Okoro's pride grew bigger. His eyes glittered with greed. His hands trembled with desire. He struck the drum again and again. Tom-tom. 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 And the ground shook. The air grew heavy. The sky began to change. The drumbeat still echoed in the night. Tom-tom. 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 Okoro's compound shook. The people looked around with fear. The smell of food changed in the air. The moon hid behind dark clouds. A cold wind blew. The crowd whispered, "What is happening? Why does the sky darken?" But Okoro only laughed, his voice loud and proud. "Do you see? Even the heavens bow to me. Even the gods cannot match my power." He struck the drum harder. Tom-tom. Tom-tom. At first, food covered the tables: roasted yam, bowls of soup, pots of rice, baskets of fruit. But as the people stretched their hands, the food turned to dust. The rice became sand. The meat became dry bones. The soup turned black and bitter. The palm wine soured in the calabashes. The people spat and cried out. Wonders have turned to ashes. The clothes rotted in their hands. The coral beads cracked like old clay. The gold coins melted into sand and blew away. Fear spread through the crowd. Mothers pulled their children close. Men stepped back in alarm. But Okoro shouted, "Do not fear. It is only more power. Watch as I command the drum again." He struck the drum fiercely. Tom-tom. 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 The ground opened slightly, and from it crawled snakes with shiny scales. Scorpions with raised tails. Black crickets swarmed, filling the compound with their cries. The people screamed and ran. Okoro, stop the drum. Stop it. But the drum's voice rose, deep and heavy. Okoro. Okoro. You were warned. The forest gives, but the forest can take. The gods bless, but they also test. You fed only yourself. Now you shall feed the earth. Okoro's hands shook. He tried to drop the drum, but it clung to his palms. He cried out, "Please, release me. I will share. I will give. I will change." But the drum thundered louder. Tom-tom. Tom-tom. The snakes coiled around his legs. The scorpions climbed his body. Okoro screamed, but his voice was drowned by the beating drum. The crowd had already fled beyond the compound fence. Only the old man with the walking stick remained, his face sad. He called out, "Okoro, your pride has blinded you. Your greed has destroyed you. This is the price of ignoring wisdom. And with one final thunderous beat, the drum swallowed Okoro. Boom! Silence fell. When the sun rose, the villagers gathered carefully outside his compound. No sound of laughter. No smell of food. No sign of Okoro. They entered slowly. The tables were empty. The ground was bare. Only broken pieces of the shining drum lay scattered like dead wood. Okoro was gone. The people whispered, "The drum has taken him. Okoro is no more." The old man struck his stick on the ground and said, "Let all remember this. Wealth without sharing is a curse. Pride turns blessings into ashes. The greedy man eats alone and dies alone."